Hello collectors and welcome to Long's Toys. Today we are taking a look at JB04 Fire Braver Fire Helicopter from the Tomica Heroes Jobraver line. So pretty standard packaging. We have a nice shot of the robot mode here with the vehicle mode down here in the corner. And then all the way down in the corner we have the little Jobroid popping his head out. Taking a look at this side, we see that the Jobroid's name is Matt, just like with Fire Braver. So we have the helicopter plus the Jobroid gives us the robot mode down here. And then over here, just kind of have a standard QR code for the show. Not really much going on down the bottom. And on the top, we just have a pic of the helicopter, spinning it around to the back. Again, kind of showing how the transformation takes place. And then it shows how he can have either the normal Fire Braver or the Fire Helicopter. So he's got two modes, two vehicles to choose from there. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and get him out of the box, and we'll take a closer look. So here they are, fully assembled and stickered up out of the packaging. We have our Jobroid Matt, who is pretty much exactly the same as the previous Matt from the first Fire Braver set. You can see that I opted to give him different eye stickers here, but other than that, the only real difference, if we take a look back here, the plastic bar, and I know it's kind of hard to see, but the plastic bar that has the ball joints for the arm sockets there is made out of kind of a maroon colored plastic. And on the new one, it is a black colored plastic. And that's really the only difference. Otherwise, they are pretty much exactly the same as far as I can tell. Now, you do get some different eye options as well. I decided to give him the normal eyes for this one since I gave him some kind of angry eyes over on this one. But they give you 4 sets of options. So you have plenty of eye sticker options for these little guys, which I think is fun because they use them to convey a lot of different emotions and things. They have like sleeping eyes, angry eyes, crying eyes, things like that. So it's a lot of fun. Articulation-wise, you do have the ball joint there at the shoulder because that is going to become the hip in the robot mode. And then you have a bend here at the elbow because that is going to become the knee in the robot mode. And you can have him sit. That's really, again, just for the transformation into robot mode. But if you want him to sit 90-degree bend there at the waist, you can do that as well. So we'll put him off to the side for the moment, and he's probably going to fall forward. Unfortunately, they don't stand very well. They have a lot of heels, but they're very kind of front heavy. I kind of wish that they had made a piece to kind of give them toes. The reason they didn't is just because they didn't want it to hang down in the robot mode, but I feel like it would have been alright. So I can kind of put the arm back, and that might help him to balance. There we go. Here is the helicopter. A decent amount of stickers here. So these 2 front sections for the windows are paint, but all of the other black you see for the windows are stickers. Not too bad though, honestly. You know, nice flat surfaces. They adhere pretty well. All of the white is paint, which is really nice. And then you have a sticker here on the back on each side of the fin. But all the silver here is paint. You have this piece here for the helicopter blades. Spins very well. So yeah, pretty neat. I like this a lot. It's a very tiny little helicopter. Just to compare it to the fire engine from Fire Braver, just for a little size comparison here, you can see that for the most part I would say that the fire truck is significantly larger. This is obviously more contoured. It's longer because of the back blade here, but I would say this is on the most part bigger. You can kind of have this sit here on the back, but maybe sit here on top. Unfortunately, it's not really going to work out, but it sits very nicely on its own. Like, it doesn't have any problem, doesn't fall forward or anything. The weight's balanced nicely, so that's nice. So let's go ahead. We will get into the transformation for these two. So we'll start by transforming the Jobroid. We're going to bend this 90 degrees, then we're going to flip the head around to the back, and then we're going to just situate the arms up to become, this will become the hips now, and then like I said, these are the knees. Now unfortunately on this Jobroid, the head is very loose. I really wish these pegged in. I've kind of said that since day one with these. I wish there was some way to peg them onto the back like this, but unfortunately this one droops quite a bit. There's even a peg spot right here which you can usually use to peg weapons. This guy doesn't really have any weapons. I mean, technically I guess we have the propellers. Does this peg in back here? I guess it does. So if you wanted him to walk around with propellers sticking out of the back of his head, you could do that. But I wish there was something here. Now I understand in robot mode, you know, that's like that. So it would be kind of hard to have a peg because this needs to go in that space. But I wish there was some way even if it was just kind of like better friction here, maybe this piece would friction into this area, but it doesn't really do that. I mean, I guess if I push it down, it kind of does, but it doesn't really naturally sit that way. In any case, we have this transformed. We'll put that off to the side. You are going to want to go ahead and remove the propellers. This whole section here needs to come off. So with a lot of the other ones that we've seen, when you transform them, this piece will naturally kind of shoot off. But with this one, you have to almost do all the transformation manually. I'm guessing it just has to do with the design. They didn't really have another way to do it. So this has to completely come off. And then you're going to split this in half. And then there are little black pieces here that are going to fold out. And that is so that we can fit the knee pieces in here. And then they will click into place. Now, I feel like they don't snap in as well as some of the others do. But they will hold. Nah, that snapped in a little bit. So as you can see, he's going to have very tall legs. Almost kind of like stilt legs. I guess we'll do something like that. So there's kind of the legs for the robot mode. Now with this section, we still have a little bit more we have to do. We have to kind of pull this section out a little bit. And you'll see that it kind of starts to pull the windows out. And then this piece will pull out. And there's actually a piece on the inside that this whole section will slide back. And then we can flip this all the way forward and then bring the arms down. So as you can see, you know, we're doing, I would say, like 75 to 80% of this manually. But the part that is going to spring out is the head, which is under here. So we're going to take this and line it up in the channel here. And then push this back. Make sure this is all lined up. There we go. And then that's going to pop this section. And it's a very tiny head. Honestly, it's very, very small. I wish that was a little bit larger. It's kind of hard to even see the details. I think it has tiny orange painted eyes. It definitely has a blue face. It's very, very small. Honestly, it's very difficult to see the detail there. We can take the blade and now mount this onto the arm. And there we go. There is our robot mode. So I don't know how I feel about this. There are parts of this design that I kind of like. I mean, right off the bat, obviously, I'm a little bummed that this doesn't stay where it's supposed to. I can kind of try to tilt this back a little bit, but it's naturally just wanting to fall forward, and as a result, this just falls down. Other than that, like I said, it's a very small head. I feel like they could have filled a little bit more of this. I know that this is all like a piece of plastic here, but I feel like they could have cut away more of this so that a larger head could have popped up. It's just kind of comically small. Given how large the legs are and how big the body is, I feel like that head just needs to be a little bit bigger. I kind of wish that you could do something more with this. But, I mean, I guess that is what it is. You do have a ball joint here for the shoulder. You have 90-degree bend in the elbow. The arms are one solid piece, but you can still have the blade there on the arm. I do like that being arm mounted. I think that's kind of cool. I wish these could kind of push down and maybe a little bit closer to the body, but that's a solid piece. You have that ball joint there for the hip. You have the knee joint that we took a look at with the Jobroid, and then the legs are one solid piece. I kind of like the giant legs. I don't know why. They're a little goofy, but I've seen enough helicopter robots transform in my day that I feel like this is kind of a staple here, and it kind of reminds me of the helicopter combiner from Machine Robo Rescue, and I think because of that, I do kind of like it. They seem to hold well enough. I don't think the legs are going to fall off, even though that piece kind of has to pop out. But I feel like it fits snugly enough that I don't think they're going to fall out anytime soon. So my major complaint is just the loose head, but that might be a QC issue, because I definitely didn't have that with a lot of the other ones that I've gotten. And I could probably switch out a Jobroid and maybe try something different. And the very tiny head. That's really my biggest complaints. Otherwise, you know, I think he's pretty cool. I like the chest area. I like the arms well enough. I like the legs. And just for a size comparison, here he is with Firebraver. So you can see, you know, he's a little bit taller, but not probably as tall as he seems on his own. When you put the two next to each other, they're roughly the same size. I would say from like the top of the hood here to the top of his hood, you're looking at maybe ½ inch to an inch tops. So I feel like they're relatively the same. And I think you can have them exchange weapons here. I think he should be able to hold this. Yeah, so that's kind of cool. So he can borrow, because he unfortunately doesn't come with any kind of weapon or blaster on his own, with the exception of the blades. So it's kind of neat that he can share the gun here from Firebraver, which I appreciate. And we'll pop that back in there. So overall, out of the two, I think I probably like Firebraver a little bit better. I just think like the spring-loaded gimmick works a little bit better for him. I'm trying to get these feet to balance. There we go. It is kind of a shame that you have to transform this like 75% of the way on your own. Not a huge deal, but the spring-loaded, was part of the gimmick in my opinion. So to have most of it removed on this one is kind of a bummer. But I still think it's kind of fun. I really like the helicopter mode. I think that's very successful. And the robot mode's not bad. I just wish that head was larger. Like, honestly, if I had one major complaint, it's how tiny that head is. It's just so small that I really can't even see the details on it. I can tell the top of the head is black. I can tell the face is like a light blue. I really can't tell if it's got painted eyes. It might be so small that they didn't bother. It's just kind of a comically small head. Other than that, I feel like, yes, the arms and legs aren't really in proportion, but they're not going to be with how, tall these legs are. It's kind of like part of the motif here, in my opinion, but I just wish that head was a little bit larger just because I feel like it's kind of ridiculous. So, yeah, I did want to show real quick how to transform him back. Let's go ahead and remove this, and then we will pop this forward and take this off because it can be a little interesting. So we push this piece back in, this pops out, push that piece back in, then we're going to snap these back together. And then for the head, we have to kind of push this down, and then we straighten out the arms, and then you have to bring these in. Now, as you do, you have to kind of push them in. And then as you push them in, as you go forward, you'll be able to push them farther together. And then you have to keep pushing them even to the point where you think it doesn't feel like it can go any further. And then the hands will actually clip together. There's a very small clip right there. So you have to make sure you push them all the way in so this is all flush and there's no empty space there. And then you can bring this in, and that will clip and then pop this back on top. So like I said, I think the helicopter mode is very successful. I like this a lot. And I think the Jobroid's perfectly good with the exception of the head being a little loose on mine. But I mean, when you snap it into place up here, it's perfectly solid. It's just that they don't, unfortunately, they're just a little too big and heavy to really stay in place without something to peg in or some kind of friction to keep them in place, which is a bit of a bummer. But for the most part, I think it's a pretty fun set. Like I said, I think the normal Firebraver is a little bit more successful, but I do really like the helicopter mode, and I think the robot mode's pretty fun. I just really wish that robot had a bigger head, because I just think that's really ridiculously small. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and as always, thanks so much for watching.